Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Nathan Drinkard. I'm Jay Wise. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. As a reminder to all our listeners, we are on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And if you're looking for us in the video format, you can find us on YouTube at the A Drink of Wisdom YouTube channel. Drink, great to be back with you and a whole lot of great stuff to get to on this wonderful Friday.
Yeah, man. I'm feeling a little better. Ready to get off into this thing. We had, what we had last night. We're gonna get into it, and then what we've been doing on these streets. But it's another fruitful Friday, so let's do what we do. Another day, another dollar. Giving the streets what they need. We're gonna see what they don't. Absolutely, we're gonna say what they want. We set the dinner plates because it's time to eat. And last but not least, y'all know what time it is. Let's talk some sports, baby. Jay, what we got today?
Well, this is episode 57, and we will put a bow on the NBA first round of the playoffs. We're going to preview the conference semifinals, and we will take a look at the first round of the NFL draft. But before we get into any of that, the only first round series still in action is the Memphis Grizzlies and the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference, the 2-7 matchup. And we have game 6 tonight. Memphis leading that series 3-2 after game 5, where John Morant had one of the more spectacular dunks I've seen recently, and the finishing touch, just magnificent finger roll acrobatic layup thing that he did to cap that one off. Drink, pretty simple here. Does Memphis close this out tonight, or will we have a game 7 on Sunday?
Oh, man. So you know how some people, you watch TV shows and they have like the two little, inner, I don't want to call them demons, but they got the two little figures over here talking, one good, right, one bad. And I got one over here that's saying, hey, man, just go ahead and, it's going 7. And I got one that say the Grizzlies got enough to get it done tonight. I think we're going 7. I just... Listen, we done talked about this multiple times. You brought this up on multiple occasions. You just can't trust anyone, even John Morant. Like, the best players in this series can't be trusted. John Morant, loving to death, giving us the moments, but he done had some clunkers in this series too. Karl-Anthony Towns that had clunkers. Anthony Edwards that had clunkers. The most consistent player of the whole doggone series has been Desmond Bane. So I'm not even going to go at him. He's been playing outstanding. But then I'd heard you about Jaren Jackson Jr. He got more fouls than points in this series. So with all that said, D'Angelo Russell, yeah, you already know how I feel about D'Angelo Russell. He ain't cutting it, in my opinion. He's not cutting in this series. So with all of that said, it's very hard for me to look at one specific spot and be like, I take that back. No, because the only area I can look at and say that one team is like significantly better than the other one is defense. I think when the Grizzlies actually get up and play defense, their defense is a lot better than the Timberwolves. Problem is, when the Timberwolves actually lock in and play, though, their offense seems a little more dynamic than Memphis. So it's kind of like one of them strength-on-strength battles. But once again, these are young guys, and we are failing to see any consistency outside of Desmond Bane. He's the only one that seems like he's bringing it every game, giving you what you got every game. You have to kind of go down deep in the rosters for both teams before you kind of find someone else that's matching the consistency. What do I mean by that? Like, for example, the Memphis Grizzlies. I think Brandon Clark, someone like him, since he's been inserted into this series, I think he's been pretty consistent on what you want from him. As far as, he'll give you some points. He's going to give you some defense. He's definitely going to give you them rebounds. But his minutes are going to be very, very, very useful. He uses his minutes to do something. He ain't out there with the Danny Green special and just, hey, guys, 0, 0, 0, and 0 at the end of the night. He ain't doing that. So, and then over on the Timberwolves side, you got guys like the Vanderbilt. You got guys like that that's not talked about as much, but when they're on the court, the time they're on the court, whether it's small, is about as valuable as the time of the stars on the court because they're actually giving you your money's worth per se, for lack of term, your money's worth for with their performance, where you got guys that's getting paid a whole lot more that might not be getting your money's worth. So with all that said, man, it's hard for me to call it. I think this is going 7. And if you remember when we previewed this series like weeks ago, I said I think this was a candidate to go 7. This is why I thought this was going to be the most exciting series in the first round. And now that it's the only series left in the first round, it has the chances to get all the eyes if it goes 7. And if it does go 7, it's going to get played on Sunday. What better day to play on Sunday? Yeah, everybody got nothing else better to do to watch Game 7 of the Memphis Grizzlies and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I think, and I'm gonna be honest, no matter how that game, if the Timberwolves win tonight and we go to Game 7, no matter how Game 7 works out, I think that will be enough for us to kind of alert ourselves on the Timberwolves going into next year, because it was this similar like leap of faith that we kind of got from Memphis in the last 2 years, and now look what they look like. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm excited for it tonight, but I'm gonna have to say this is probably going 7 games, and we'll get a Game 7 on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree for a couple of reasons. Number one, just by sheer probability, you'd feel like you'd get just one series at least to go a full 7. All the series it's going to be, it's weird. If Memphis turns out win this game, you'll have 7 of the 8 series have been decided in 5 or 6 games. Feels somewhat unusual because normally in the first round you expect to have a couple of sweeps just by the sheer some of these mismatches that just seem to be what we have on paper, and it just hasn't turned out that way. And then the other part of it is, like you alluded to, kind of what we've been talking about. I mean, these two teams, it's just hard to gauge what you're going to get game in and game out. Both these teams just among the youngest in the NBA. Do they have some veterans out there? They do, but for the most part, the guys leading the charge in terms of, the guys who are going to take the last shot, they're young guys. And we just have not seen the consistency. I mean, Ja Morant's he's been up and down, and he hasn't really. I feel like Game 5 was kind of his signature so far in his playoff career. But even with that, it wasn't a particularly pretty first 3 quarters. And we've talked a little bit about Karl Anthony Towns. We just don't know. I mean, he can have some games where he's going to go off and just be shooting the lights out and playing big. And then there seems to be some occurrences where the Grizzlies come in and they're ultra physical. They really bother him with that. And because of that, you don't see him do particularly a whole lot. And so, and I do think that, like, when you look at those guys and how up and down they've been, I agree with you. I think Desmond Bane has been the most consistent guy. And then the other way, I'm not thinking about D'Angelo Russell. I'm thinking about Anthony Edwards. So it's been a really odd series because it's been so back and forth, up and down. And just because of how back and forth and up and down it's been, I don't feel a lot of conviction in this, but I do think it'll go 7 just because it's been that back and forth. Now, even so, I still expect Memphis to prevail. If there is a Game 7, I've never thought Minnesota would win this series. But I think I think Minnesota does deserve credit for how they've played in this series because of 2 versus a 7. Normally you don't get to the 3. You don't expect really competitive series normally until you get 3 versus 6 in most seasons. And I think Minnesota they've done a really good job in this series. They won Game 1. Then they struggled a bit, but they've also, you look at it, they've really missed some opportunities. I mean, when you look about it, I think it was Game 3 where they blew, I think, a 24-point lead, a couple of 25-point leads, just couldn't get it done. And then, so had they have been able to take care of business, it could be Memphis right here, absolutely on the ropes. And Game 5, felt like Minnesota was in control of that game for most of the way. And then all of a sudden the fourth quarter comes around and here comes John Morant. And so, I think for both teams tonight, which team leader or superstar that leads his team can show out. Can John Morant carry on or pick up where he left off in Game 5 and take that show on the road? I think Memphis is certainly capable of closing this out tonight. But it's just, what are we going to see from him? And then the other part for Memphis is, and you talked about it a little bit with Jaren Jackson, some of these guys who are not Desmond Bane, could we do something, guy? Dylan Brooks, I don't know what you're doing. I see a lot of memes on you on social media right now. I'm not quite sure what all that's about. But whatever you're doing, you might want to modify it because 3 for 18 is not it. It's just not, man. We need some more. And Jaren Jackson, when your point to foul ratio is 2-1, and that's seriously what it is. That's not good. 53 points and 26 fouls in this series. They need you on the floor. I really think if Jaren Jackson plays like the dude that we were, remember the bubble, and the big deal was Jaren Jackson not there. If Jaren Jackson's in there, it's going to be something. Well, you're here now, and you're not doing a whole lot except picking up fouls. And I mean, and because of the foul trouble, he's not been averaging 24 minutes a game. So I really think, to me, Jaren Jackson's the X factor, and I don't think he's played a good game yet. I really don't. He's averaging 11 points and 6 rebounds in this series. That's not near enough. So if Jaren Jackson plays tonight and plays like he can, this could be over. I mean, this could be over, but I still think Minnesota is going to come up with it. I think they'll play inspired. I think they'll wind up playing one of their best games of the season. And we will have a Game 7 on Sunday.